Story. Judge mocked single dad veterans' medals as fake, then a general entered and stopped everything. They said courtrooms were built for justice. But that morning, it felt more like a stage for humiliation. The air was heavy with whispers, the sharp echo of the judge's gavel, and the faint clink of a few medals on a chest that had seen more war than peace. He stood there, a single dad, a veteran, his uniform worn but proud. His name was David Carter, and all he wanted was to keep custody of his little girl, Emily. But instead of respect, he was met with laughter. "Mr. Carter," the judge smirked, adjusting his glasses as if to study the medals pinned across David's chest. "You expect us to believe these are real? These look like something off a Halloween costume." The courtroom chuckled. David's jaw tightened. He said nothing. His hands, calloused and trembling, clutched the brim of his cap, the same one he'd worn overseas during his final tour. He wasn't there to impress anyone. He wasn't there to relive the battlefield. He was there because his ex-wife's lawyer was painting him as a liar, a man pretending to be a hero to gain sympathy. She had said, "He makes up stories about the military. He was just a mechanic. Those medals are fakes." The judge leaned back. "Mr. Carter, unless you have proof that you earned those medals, I don't see any reason to take your claims seriously." David swallowed hard. His proof. It was buried in classified missions, lost comrades, and memories he wished he could forget. Proof didn't always come with a paper trail. Sometimes, it came with scars. His lawyer, a young woman named Sarah, whispered, "David, let me handle this." But David raised his hand slightly. "No," he said quietly. "They can laugh. They can doubt. I know what I did." The judge smirked again. "And what's that, Mr. Carter? Save the world." David's voice cracked but didn't break. "No, sir. I just tried to save my brothers. Some of them didn't make it home." A hush fell for a brief moment, then someone snickered again from the back row. Emily, sitting beside a social worker, looked frightened. She didn't understand why everyone was laughing at her dad. Her small hand clutched her teddy bear tighter. "Daddy," she whispered. That one word cut deeper than any insult. Just when it seemed like the judge was ready to bang his gavel and end it all, the courtroom doors swung open with a loud thud. Two uniformed men entered, their presence immediately silencing the entire room. The taller one walked straight toward the judge's bench, his ribbons and stars glinting under the fluorescent light. The judge blinked, startled. "Excuse me, who are you to interrupt my court?" The man cut him off. "General Raymond Hale, United States Army." Every soldier in the room stiffened. Even those who weren't soldiers felt the weight of authority in that name. The general turned slowly toward David. His eyes softened. "Sergeant Carter," he said, his voice steady, filled with something that sounded like respect. "At ease, soldier." The judge stammered, You know him." "Know him," the general repeated, then looked directly into the judge's eyes. "This man saved my life in Kandahar. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for him. Those medals," he pointed firmly, "are not fakes. They are the marks of valor, sacrifice, and pain that most men wouldn't survive to talk about." Gasps filled the courtroom. The same people who laughed a moment ago now sat in stunned silence. The judge's face drained of color. The general turned back to David. "I've been looking for you for a long time, Sergeant. After the explosion, we thought you were gone. When I heard what was happening here, I came myself. No man deserves this kind of disrespect." David's eyes glistened. "Sir, I was just doing my job." The general shook his head. "No, you were doing more than your job. You carried 3 men out of a burning convoy while under heavy fire. You refused evacuation until everyone else was safe. That's not a job, Carter, that's a legacy." He looked at the judge. "I strongly suggest you dismiss any notion that this man's medals are fake. In fact, you should thank him that you're living in a country where you have the freedom to hold this court." The judge swallowed, his voice barely a whisper. I didn't know." "That's the problem," the general said firmly. "Too many forget who pays the price for their peace." The silence that followed was sacred. Emily ran up to her father and hugged him tight. David dropped to one knee, his medals clinking softly against her small shoulders. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, "It's okay, sweetheart. Daddy's not lying." The judge finally cleared his throat. Case dismissed. Full custody awarded to Mr. Carter. David didn't cheer. He didn't gloat. He just stood there, broken, proud, and free. The general placed a hand on his shoulder. "If you ever need anything, Sergeant, my door's open. You've already done more for this country than most can ever repay." David nodded quietly. "Thank you, sir. I just want a quiet life for my little girl." The general smiled faintly. "You've earned that peace." As they walked out of the courtroom together, father, daughter, and the man whose life he'd once saved, the audience stood and began to applaud. It wasn't ordered. It wasn't rehearsed. It was genuine. And for the first time in years, David Carter felt seen. He didn't need medals, or applause, or recognition. All he needed was for his daughter to look at him the way she did, with pride and love. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes, they wear old uniforms and carry scars no one can see. So if you're watching this story right now, take a moment. Honor the silent heroes around you. The single parents, the veterans, the ones who keep fighting even when no one's watching. Because respect is the only medal that truly matters. If this story touched your heart, hit the like button, subscribe for more real and emotional stories, and share this with someone who still believes in integrity, courage, and love that never gives up.